and trailer walls.
Okay,
The desert road
go.
had been empty, except for the heat
Tornado.
waves rising from the asphalt and the occasional. Then she'd seen the white van. It had been parked behind the old abandoned gas station, half hidden from the main road.
Tornado intercept
Ariel
with
had
a
almost walked past
don't.
it, almost, but something made her look. Maybe it was the way the van sat too deliberately placed, too carefully angled. Or maybe it was the glint of metal she caught in the side mirror. She crouched behind a rusted dumpster, her heart already beginning to race. 5 men, all dressed in black tactical gear, all carrying rifles. Ariel had watched them check their weapons,
Anyways,
watched them pull out a map, watched one of them point toward the rusty chain bar 300 yards up the road. She couldn't hear what they were saying, but she could read their body language, could see the way they moved with military precision, could see the determination in their faces. These men were here to kill. The rusty chain bar, where the Hells Angels gathered every Tuesday and Thursday, where she'd seen the bikers for years, their motorcycles lined up like chrome soldiers outside the weathered building, where they'd never noticed her walking past, where they'd never once looked her way. Ariel had pulled back behind the dumpster, her mind racing faster than her heart. She should run home, call the police, let someone else handle it.
drug subject, you not know how to make a video.
It had died during lunch, and she'd forgotten to charge it the night before. And home was 3 miles in the opposite direction. And the police station was even farther. And by the time anyone came, those men would have walked into that bar and opened fire. 30 bikers. She counted them last week. 30 men who would die if she did nothing. So she'd run. Now her legs pumped beneath her like pistons. Her throat was raw, even though she couldn't hear herself gasping for air. The backpack straps cut into her shoulders, but she didn't slow down. Couldn't slow down. The rusty chain bar appeared in the distance. The motorcycles gleamed in the sunlight, rows and rows of them. Beautiful machines that their owners polished with the same care most people reserve for children. Ariel's vision blurred with sweat and tears, her side cramped. Her legs screamed, but she kept running, 200 yards. She could see the bar's faded wooden signs swinging slightly in the desert night. Could see the bar and reflective against the sun. Could see a figure moving inside, 100 yards. What was she going to do? Burst through the door and start signing frantically. These men didn't know sign language, didn't know her.
What?
Would
They
they
was
even
going to be
believe
up
her
there,
figure?
rushed over, we
Her
got
foot
moved.
caught on a crack in the
Huh?
pavement.
They was
She
to be up
stumbled,
there,
nearly
rushed
fell,
over, we
caught
got
herself
moved.
with her hands scraping against the rough
Hey,
ground.
I got a message.
Blood bloomed
So
across
they're
her
going to be up
palms.
for a little bit, the
She
rest
didn't
of
care.
Well,
She
we got
pushed
to get out
herself
of here.
up and
About
kept running.
when?
The
They're
door
going
to
to
the
be up there
rusty
to
chain
talk to me
bar
a
was
little bit.
solid oak
But
reinforced
when
with
we got to
iron
get
bands.
out of here.
Ariel hit it with both hands, shoving it open with the last of her
I
strength.
know.
The bar fell silent. Not that Ariel could hear the
It's
silence,
kind of hard
but
to
she
do
could
that
feel
when
it.
you ain't got a truck
Could
to
see it
move
in
in
the way
now,
every head turned toward her. Could see it in the way conversations stopped mid-sentence, beer bottles frozen halfway to lips, pool cues suspended mid-shot. 30 pairs of eyes, all on her. Ariel had never been inside the rusty chain bar, had never even stood close to the entrance. The building had always felt like a fortress, intimidating and impenetrable. Now standing in the doorway, she realized how small she was in comparison to everything and everyone around her. The bikers were enormous. Leather vests stretched across broad shoulders. Tattoos covered every visible inch of skin. Beards hung down to chests. These were not men who looked kindly on interruptions. At the far end of the bar, a man stood up. He was taller than the others, his presence commanding even in stillness. Salt and pepper hair pulled back in a ponytail. A scar running from his left
I don't know how
eyebrow
she
to
does
his
it.
jawline. Eyes the color of steel.
That's
Griffin
where are you?
Burklaw Varner, road captain of the Hells Angels Nevada chapter. Ariel had seen him before on walks, had watched him from a distance, noting the way other bikers deferred to him, the way he moved with absolute authority. Now those steel gray eyes were locked on him. Burklaw's mouth moved. He was saying something. The other bikers turned to look at him, then back at her.
What?
Ariel's hand shook as she reached into her backpack. Her fingers fumbled past textbooks and notebooks until she found what she needed. A marker. A small whiteboard she used for communicating with teachers who didn't know sign language. She uncapped the marker with trembling fingers and wrote in large, desperate letters, armed men outside, 5 of them, rifles. They're going to kill you. She held up the whiteboard. The bar remained frozen. Every eye read her message. Nobody moved. Then Burklaw's expression changed. Not panic, not fear. Something harder. Something harder. He raised one hand, made a gesture. The bikers exploded into motion. It was choreographed chaos. Men moved
And
the
I'm not
windows,
talking
staying
about that. I
low.
did have
Others
a
disappeared in the
video.
back rooms. Someone killed the lights. Someone else locked the front door behind Ariel. Ariel stood in the sudden dimness. Paul, her whiteboard still raised her heart, hammering so hard she thought it might burst. A hand touched her shoulder. She spun around. Burklaw stood behind her. Up close, he was even more intimidating. 6'4" at least. Shoulders like a linebacker. But his touch
He
on her
did my
shoulder had
line
been
because he
gentle.
went AFK.
His mouth moved slowly, deliberately. He was trying to make it easier for her to read his lips. How many? Ariel held up 5 fingers. Where? She pointed back toward the road. Tried to sign, but her hands were shaking too bad. She grabbed her whiteboard instead and wrote, "Behind old gas station. White van, black tactical gear. 300 yards." Burklaw read the message. His jaw tightened. He turned to a biker nearby, a massive man with a red beard that hung to his chest, and his mouth moved rapidly. Redbeard nodded and disappeared into a back room. Another biker appeared at Burklaw's side. Younger, maybe 30, with sleeve tattoos and a diamond stud in his left ear. Burklaw's mouth moved. The younger biker's eyes widened. He looked at Ariel, then back at Burklaw, then pulled out his phone. Ariel's legs finally gave out. She slumped against the wall, sliding down until she sat on the floor. Her backpack fell beside her. Her whiteboard clattered against the wood. She'd done it. She'd warned them. Now what? Burklaw crouched in front of her. His massive frame filled her vision. He held out his hand, palm up, asking for her whiteboard. Ariel handed it to him. He wrote something and turned it around. "You deaf," she nodded. He wrote again. "You just saved 30 lives. Stay here. Stay low." Ariel's eyes burned with tears she didn't understand.
Okay.
Relief, fear, exhaustion. Burklaw stood and moved to a
What is
window.
he?
He peered through a crack in the blinds, his body
What
tensing.
are you?
The younger biker with the phone was gesturing wildly. Ariel couldn't hear him, but she could see the urgency in his movements.
What?
He was calling someone, police, other bikers. Redbeard emerged from the back room carrying something long and dark, a shotgun. He moved to another window, his movements calm and practiced. These men weren't
I think
afraid.
that looks good.
They were angry. Ariel wrapped her arms around her knees and tried to make herself small. This wasn't her world. These weren't her people. She was just a deaf 13-year-old who should have minded her own business. But 30 men would have died. The thought kept circling through her mind. 30 men. Fathers maybe, brothers, sons, men who laughed and drank beer and rode motorcycles on sunny afternoons. Dead. All dead. Because she'd seen something and said nothing. A vibration ran through the floor. Ariel felt it before she understood what it meant. The bikers felt it too. Several of them tensed hands moving to weapons she couldn't see. Then she understood. Motorcycles. Engines running. More bikers arriving. Through the window she could see them. At least a dozen motorcycles pulling into the parking lot. More men in leather vests dismounting, moving with purpose toward the bar. Burklaw unlocked the front door. The newcomers filed in and Burklaw's mouth moved rapidly. He pointed at Ariel. Every new arrival turned to look at her. Ariel shrank further into herself. One of the newcomers, an older man with white hair and a face like weathered leather, walked over to where she sat. He lowered himself down with a grunt, sitting cross-legged on the floor beside her. His mouth moved slowly. "Thank you." Ariel didn't know what to do, didn't know what to say. She'd never been thanked for anything in her life. The old biker smiled. It transformed his harsh features into something almost grandfatherly. He patted her knee once and pushed himself back to his feet and rejoined the others. The younger biker with the phone was still talking rapidly. He kept glancing at his watch, then at Burklaw, then back at his phone. Burklaw wrote something on a piece of paper and handed it to Redbeard. Redbeard nodded and disappeared out the back door with 2 other bikers. Minutes crawled by, or maybe it was only seconds. Ariel couldn't tell anymore. Time felt broken, stretched, and compressed simultaneously. Then flashing lights, red and blue, strode through the windows. Police, sheriff, multiple vehicles from what Ariel could see. Burklaw's shoulders relaxed slightly. He walked back to where Ariel sat and crouched down again. He held out his hand. Ariel took it. His palm was calloused and warm. He pulled her gently to her feet. He picked up her whiteboard and wrote, Sheriff, here. You need to tell them what you saw. Ariel's stomach dropped. Tell them how they wouldn't understand her
Oh
side.
my God, no.
They wouldn't have patience for her whiteboard. They'd look at her the way everyone else did, with pity or frustration, or both. Burklaw must have seen the fear in her face. He wrote again, I'll stay with you. The front door opened. A sheriff's deputy stepped inside, hand on his weapon, eyes scanning the room. Behind him came Sheriff Tom Bradshaw, a man Ariel recognized from around town. Gray-haired, pot-bellied, with kind eyes that had always seemed tired. Sheriff Bradshaw's eyes landed on Burklaw for a second. His mouth moved. Burklaw's mouth moved in response. Back and forth. A conversation Ariel couldn't follow. Then both men turned to look at her. Sheriff Bradshaw walked over. He moved slowly, carefully, like he was approaching a skittish animal. When he reached Ariel, he pulled a small notepad from his pocket and a pen. He wrote, Can you tell me what you saw? Ariel took the pen with trembling fingers. She wrote everything. The white van, the 5 men, the tactical gear, the rifles, the way they checked their weapons, the way one had pointed toward the bar. Sheriff Bradshaw read her account twice. His expression grew darker with each word. He wrote, Can you show me where Ariel nodded? They walked outside together. Ariel, Sheriff Bradshaw, Burklaw, and 4 deputies. The afternoon sun was beginning to sink toward the horizon, painting the desert in shades of orange and gold. Ariel led them down the road. Her legs still ached from her earlier sprint. Her palms still stung where she'd scraped them. But she walked anyway, 1 foot in front of the other, until they reached the abandoned gas station. The white van was gone. Ariel's heart sank. They wouldn't believe her now. They'd think she'd made it up. A deaf girl desperate for attention. But Sheriff Bradshaw was already on his radio. His mouth moved rapidly.
I'll be going up
2
on
deputies jogged back toward
I'm
the
heading
vehicle.
this way, and
Burklaw touched Ariel's shoulder.
you're
But she
gonna have to
looked
pick
up
me
at
if you
him.
want to.
He pointed down at the ground. Tire tracks. Fresh ones. Deep grooves in the dirt where a heavy vehicle had sat and then peeled out quickly. And something else. Shell casings. 3 of them glinting in the fading sunlight. Sheriff Bradshaw bagged the casings with gloved hands. He wrote on his notepad, We'll find them. 20 minutes later, they did. Ariel was back at the Rusty Chain Bar when the radio call came in. She couldn't hear it, but she could see the reaction. Sheriff Bradshaw's face split into a grim smile. He nodded, spoke into his radio, nodded again. He walked over to where Ariel sat at the bar. The bikers had given her a Coke and a bag of chips, though she barely touched either, and wrote on his notepad, Got them. All 5. Pulled them over 10 miles north. Van full of weapons and a hit list. Your names were on it. He turned the notepad to show Burklaw. Burklaw's expression didn't change, but something flickered in his steel gray eyes. Relief, rage, both Sheriff Bradshaw wrote more. You saved lives today. Yours, theirs, everyone's. He pointed at Ariel, then at the bikers, then at himself. Ariel didn't feel like a hero. She felt like a girl who needed to throw up. Her hands shook so badly she had to set down her Coke before she spilled it. The old, white-haired biker appeared beside her. He placed a hand on her shoulder gently, the way her grandfather used to. His mouth said, Breathe, just breathe. Ariel tried, in through her nose, out through her mouth, in, out. Sheriff Bradshaw stayed for another hour, taking statements from everyone. Ariel wrote out her account 3 more times, each version more detailed than the last. Her hand cramped from gripping the pen, but she kept writing. When Sheriff Bradshaw finally left, the sun had set completely. Desert darkness fell like a curtain. Through the windows, Ariel could see stars beginning to emerge, thousands of them, more than she'd ever seen in the city. Burklaw appeared beside her with her backpack. He picked it up from where she dropped it by the door. He held it out to her along with her whiteboard. He'd written something new. You need a ride home. Ariel nodded. The thought of walking 3 miles in the dark made her want to cry. Burklaw gestured to Redbeard. The massive biker disappeared and returned moments later with a helmet. A helmet. Ariel had never been on a motorcycle in her life. Her mother had always said they were death traps, had forbidden Ariel from even thinking about them. But Burklaw was already walking toward the door, clearly expecting her to follow. Ariel grabbed her backpack and hurried after him. Outside, the night air was cool against her skin. The parking lot was still full of motorcycles, chrome glinting under the streetlights. Bikers stood in small groups, talking, smoking, checking their phones. Every one of them stopped and watched as Burklaw led Ariel to his bike. It was beautiful. all black chrome and leather with intricate silver detailing along the gas tank. The Hells Angels insignia was painted on both sides of skull with wings. Burklaw took the helmet from Redbeard and placed it gently on Ariel's head. It was too big, but he adjusted the straps until it fit snugly. He mounted the bike first, then held out his hand to help Ariel climb on behind him. She'd never been this close to another person before. Never wrapped her arms around someone's waist, never pressed her body against someone else's back. It felt strange, vulnerable, safe. Burklaw glanced back at her. His mouth moved, hold tight. Then the engine roared to life. Ariel couldn't hear it, but she could feel it. The vibration ran through every bone in her body. Powerful. Alive.
Raven, you want to fly
Like
straight
riding a
forward?
camel heartbeat. They pulled out of the
No.
parking lot.
What?
The wind whipped past Ariel's face. The desert landscape blurred on either side. Stars wheeled overhead. For the first time in her 13 years of silence, Ariel felt like she was part of the world, instead of just watching it from the outside. The ride to her trailer took 7 minutes. Burklaw pulled up outside the faded blue single wide, where Ariel lived with her mother. Lights were on inside. Her mother's boyfriend's truck was parked crookedly in the dirt driveway. Ariel's stomach tightened. She didn't want to go inside. Didn't want to face the questions she wouldn't be able to hear. Didn't want to see her mother's new boyfriend's face twisted in anger over something Ariel had or hadn't done. Burklaw must have sensed her hesitation. He turned on the bike to face her and pulled out his phone. He typed something and showed her the screen. You safe here? The question hit Ariel like a punch to the chest. No one had ever asked her that before. Not teachers, not counselors, not even her own mother. She wanted to say no. Wanted to tell him about the yelling she felt through the walls. About the way her mother's boyfriend looked at her sometimes. About the way she'd started taking the long way home to avoid being there. But what could Burklaw do? He was a biker, an outlaw, not a social worker.
On this one.
Ariel nodded. The lie tasted bitter even though she couldn't speak it aloud. Burklaw studied her face for a
That's
long
the
moment.
point.
Those steel gray eyes saw too much, understood too much. He typed again. If you ever need anything, Rusty Cheney, ask for me. Ariel took off the helmet and handed it back. Burklaw accepted it but didn't put it away. Instead, he reached into his vest pocket and pulled out something small. A patch. It was embroidered with silver thread on black fabric. 2 wings spread wide. Between them, a single word, Guardian. Burklaw pressed the patch into Ariel's hand and closed her fingers around it. His mouth moved slowly. You're one of us now. Then he was gone. The motorcycle pulled away in a rumble. Ariel felt in her chest. She stood in the dirt driveway, the patch clutched tight in her fist, and watched until his taillights disappeared into the darkness. When Ariel finally turned toward the trailer, her mother was standing in the doorway. Her mouth was moving rapidly. Angry words Ariel couldn't hear, demanding to know where she'd been, who that man was, why she was so late. Ariel walked past her mother without responding. Went to her tiny bedroom. Closed the door. She sat on her bed and opened her fist. The Guardian patch gleamed in the lamplight. 2 wings, 1 word. For the first time in her life, Ariel Brooks felt like she mattered. She didn't know that outside 3 blocks away, Burklaw had pulled over. Didn't know that he was making a phone call. Didn't know that he was telling the Hells Angels Nevada charter president about a deaf 13-year-old girl who'd saved 30 lives. Didn't know that her life was about to change in ways she couldn't possibly imagine. All she knew was that she'd done something good. Something brave. Something that mattered, and tomorrow she'd do it again if she had to. Ariel woke to her mother shaking her shoulder violently. The morning light cut through the thin curtains. Her mother's face was inches from hers, mouth moving in rapid, angry bursts. Ariel sat up, rubbing her eyes. Her mother shoved the phone in her face. The screen showed a news article. The headline read, 5 armed men arrested and plot to attack local bar. Her mother's mouth kept moving. Faster now, angrier. Ariel caught fragments by reading her lips. Police here last night. Questions. What did you do? Ariel's stomach twisted. She reached for her whiteboard on the nightstand, but her mother slapped it away. It clattered to the floor. Her mother grabbed Ariel's chin, forcing eye contact. Her mouth formed words slowly, deliberately. Did you do this? Ariel nodded. Her mother's face went white, then red, then white again. She released Ariel's chin and stormed out of the room, slamming the door so hard the walls shook. Ariel picked up her whiteboard from the floor. The corner was cracked. She sat on the edge of her bed, holding it, trying to steady her breathing. The door burst open again. Her mother's boyfriend filled the doorway. Dale, 6'2", beer-gut arms covered in faded tattoos that weren't the good kind. His mouth moved. "You brought cops to my house." Ariel shrank back against the headboard. Dale stepped into the room. His face was flushed. A vein pulsed in his temple. "Those were my guys, my crew. You got them arrested." The words took a moment to register. Then they hit like ice water. His guys, his crew, the 5 men with rifles. The men who were going to murder 30 bikers. Dale's crew. Ariel's heart hammered against her ribs. She looked past Dale to where her mother stood in the hallway, arms crossed. Face turned away. Dale's mouth kept moving. "Do you know what you've done? Do you have any idea what happens now?" Ariel grabbed her whiteboard. Wrote with shaking hands, "They were going to kill people." Dale read it, laughed. It was an ugly sound Ariel was glad she couldn't hear. He ripped the whiteboard from her hands and threw it across the room. It hit the wall and broke in half. Ariel's blood went cold. Dale leaned in close. His breath probably smelled like stale beer and cigarettes. His mouth moved slowly. "Afraid they don't make bail. Because if they do, you're the first person they're coming for."
We should
Then he was
be
gone.
in
Her mother followed without looking back. The door slammed again. Ariel sat frozen on her bed. Her mind raced.
Kate, it's 1064. Is it okay?
Which meant she was living with someone who wanted the Hells Angels dead. Which meant she wasn't safe here. Had never been safe here. She looked at the broken whiteboard on the floor. At the guardian patch she'd placed on her nightstand before falling asleep. At the window where morning sunlight streamed through. She couldn't stay here. Not anymore. Ariel grabbed her backpack, stuffed it with clothes, her phone charger, the guardian patch, and a little bit of money she'd saved from babysitting, $43. She changed into jeans and a hoodie, tied her sneakers. Then she climbed out her bedroom window. The desert morning was cool. Ariel's breath made small clouds. She couldn't see herself exhale. She dropped from the window ledge to the ground and started walking. She didn't know where she was going. Just away. Away from Dale. Away from her mother who'd chosen a man over her own daughter. Away from danger. Her feet carried her toward town, toward the Rusty Chain Bar. The walk took 40 minutes. By the time Ariel arrived, her legs ached and her stomach growled. The parking lot was empty except for 2 motorcycles. The bar's windows were dark. Ariel tried the front door. Locked. She sat down on the wooden steps and waited. She didn't know what else to do. 20 minutes passed. Then a motorcycle pulled into the lot. Redbeard, the massive biker with the beard down to his chest. He killed the engine and pulled off his helmet. When he saw Ariel, his eyebrows shot up. His mouth moved. "Kid, what are you doing here?"
I forgot to
Ariel had no
say,
whiteboard. She tried to sign, but her hands were shaking too badly.
follow.
She pulled out her phone instead and typed, "I can't go home." Dale is one of them. The men who were going to attack you. He said they'll come for me if they make bail.
Right there.
Redbeard read the message. His expression went from concerned to furious in seconds. He pulled out his own phone and made a call. Talked rapidly while looking at Ariel. Hung up. Typed on his phone and showed her Burke Claw is on his way. Don't move. 15 minutes later, 3 motorcycles roared into the parking lot. Burke Claw,
you're okay.
the old white-haired biker from yesterday, and a woman, the first female biker Ariel had seen. She was maybe 50 with short gray hair and arms roped with muscle. Burke Claw strode over to where Ariel
Aw,
sat.
man.
He crouched in front of her and held out his phone. She typed out everything about waking up, about Dale, about her mother, about climbing out the window. Burke Claw's jaw tightened with each sentence. When she finished, he stood and showed the phone to the others. The woman biker's face went hard. She pulled out her phone and made a call, talked for 2 minutes, hung up and typed something on Burke Claw's phone to show Ariel, "You're not going back there. Ever." Ariel's eyes burned. She nodded. The old white-haired biker, his phone screen said his name was Silver, typed, "You hungry?" Ariel nodded again. They took her inside the Rusty Chain. The woman biker, her name was Donna Road named Ironside, made eggs and toast in a small kitchen. Ariel ate like she hadn't seen food in days. While she ate, Burke Claw made phone calls. Lots of them. Ariel watched his face grow darker with each conversation.
Yeah, I'm
Finally,
going
he
to
sat down across from Ariel. Typed on his phone Dale Hutchins, your mother's boyfriend. He's got a record. Assault, drug trafficking.
I'm
No
loud.
associate of the Iron Crusaders. Ariel frowned. Typed back, who were the Iron Crusaders? Bert Claw's expression was grim. Rival MC, motorcycle club. They've been trying to muscle into our territory for months. Those 5 men, Iron Crusaders. This was a hit. They were going to kill us and take over. Ariel's stomach dropped. She'd stumbled into the middle of a war. Silver sat down beside Bertclaw. Typed, the sheriff needs to know about Dale. Bertclaw nodded. Typed to Ariel. You willing to tell the sheriff what Dale said? Ariel hesitated. If she did that, Dale would know. He'd be even angrier, even more dangerous. But what choice did she have? Go back and pretend everything was fine. Wait for the Iron Crusaders to make bail and come looking for her, she typed. Yes. Sheriff Bradshaw arrived an hour later. He brought a woman with him, a social worker named Mrs. Chen. Young, maybe 30, with kind eyes and a gentle smile. They sat in the bar's back office. Sheriff Bradshaw asked questions. Ariel typed out answers on her phone. Mrs. Chen took notes. When Ariel got to the part about Dale, saying, my guys, my crew, Sheriff Bradshaw's pen stopped moving. He looked up at Bertclaw, who stood leaning against the doorframe.
Yep.
Sheriff Bradshaw's mouth moved. Dale Hutchins is connected to the Iron Crusaders. Bertclaw nodded. Sheriff Bradshaw muttered something under his breath. Wrote more notes, asked more questions. When they finished, Mrs. Chen typed on her phone, you can't go home. Not with Dale there. I'm going to place you in emergency foster care. Ariel's chest tightened. Foster care. She heard horror stories from kids at school. Homes where nobody wanted you. Families who only took kids for the monthly check. Mrs. Chen must have seen the fear in Ariel's face. She typed again. Just temporarily. Until we can sort this out. I promise I'll find you somewhere safe. Ariel had no choice. She nodded. But before Mrs. Chen could stand, Bertclaw pushed off from the doorframe. He typed on his phone and showed it to the social worker. What if we have a better option? Mrs. Chen frowned. Typed back. What kind of option? Bertclaw looked at Donna. Some silent communication passed between them. Donna nodded. Bertclaw typed, Donna's been a licensed foster parent for 6 years. 3 bedrooms. Clean record. References up the wazoo. What if Ariel stayed with her? Mrs. Chen's eyebrows rose. She looked at Donna. Typed, is this something you'd be willing to do? Donna didn't hesitate. She typed, absolutely. Ariel stared at these people. These bikers. These strangers who owed her nothing. Who were offering her a home. Mrs. Chen chewed her bottom lip. Typed, I'd have to run a background check. Inspect the home. Interview references. Standard procedure. Bertclaw type. How long, Mrs. Chen? If I prioritize it, maybe 48 hours. Bertclaw, where does she stay until then? Mrs. Chen hesitated. Type, there's a group home in Reno. It's not ideal, but Donna's hands moved rapidly on her phone. No. She stays with me tonight. You can inspect my place right now. I've got nothing to hide. Mrs. Chen looked at Sheriff Bradshaw. He shrugged. His mouth moved. Donna's good people. Been fostering kids for years. Never had a single complaint. Mrs. Chen sighed. Typed, okay, let's go see your place. They all climbed into Sheriff Bradshaw's SUV, Ariel, Mrs. Chen, Donna, and the sheriff. Bertclaw and the others followed on their motorcycles. Donna's house was 10 minutes outside Cinder Valley. A small ranch-style home with a fenced yard and solar panels on the roof. Inside, it was clean and comfortable. 3 bedrooms, like Bertclaw had said. One was clearly Donna's. Another was set up as an office. The third had bunk beds and a dresser. Mrs. Chen inspected everything. Checked smoke detectors. Looked in the fridge. Asked questions. Finally, she typed to Donna, I'll fast-track the paperwork. She can stay here tonight. I'll be back tomorrow with the official documentation. Donna smiled. Typed to Ariel. Welcome home, kid. Ariel couldn't speak, couldn't sign, could only nod as tears streamed down her face. After Mrs. Chen
It was really cool in this game.
He typed, you did good telling them about Dale. Real good. But you need to understand something. Ariel waited.
Oh?
Bertclaw, the Iron Crusaders don't forget. And they don't forgive. Dale's going to be questioned, maybe arrested. And when that happens, his crew is going to know who fought. Ariel's stomach clenched. What does that mean? Bird claw. It means you're going to need protection. Real protection. And we're going to give it to you. That night, Ariel lay in the bottom bunk of Donna's spare bed. The sheets smelled like lavender detergent. Through the window, she could see stars. She pulled out the guardian patch and held it up to the moonlight. 2 wings, 1 word. A knock on the door. Ariel sat up. Donna entered carrying a mug of hot chocolate. She set it on the nightstand and sat on the edge of the bed. Pulled out her phone and typed, "Can't sleep." Ariel shook her head. Donna, too much happening. Ariel nodded. Donna was quiet for a moment. Then she typed, "I lost my daughter 8 years ago. Drunk driver. She was 16. After that, I couldn't stand the empty house. Started fostering. Figured if I couldn't save my own kid, maybe I could save someone else's." Ariel's throat tightened. "Donna, what I'm saying is you're not a burden. You're not temporary. You're not a charity case. You're a kid who deserves better than what you got. And I'm going to make damn sure you get it." Ariel reached out and hugged Donna. The older woman stiffened for a second and wrapped her arms around Ariel and held on tight. The next morning, Ariel woke to sunlight and the smell of bacon. She found Donna in the kitchen making breakfast. When Donna saw her, she smiled and pointed to the table. Ariel sat. Donna brought over pancakes, eggs,